This program is brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections. Welcome back to our roundtable discussion here at the Plainville Historic Center, and I'm sure you're going to find it interesting.
You drive in the junkyard, you get a car, you get it running, you put a number on it, and you're off and running, you're racing.
Yeah.
Now tell me, Ronnie, how'd you get involved in this Plainville Stadium?
I grew up with the Alcases right around the corner, and they had about 3 cars at the time, and Dave used to start early in the afternoon once the haying was done. Start towing them up there, and one day he needed somebody just to ride, like to have somebody ride with him in the car, and I took a ride up to the track with him. I thought that was a pretty big deal, you know. I was probably not even a teenager at the time, and after that I just started going all the time, and it just stays with you after once you get, to know the family. You watch them work on the cars all the time, and it just...
Yeah, you know what thoroughly amazed me is most of us started to go to Plainville Stadium way before we were old enough to go in the pits. So we had to find means of getting into the pits, usually meant under or over the fence or hidden in the race car when they were pushing it in. If I remember right.
Or you always had somebody out there with the stamp or the magic marker.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty good at writing.
Remember Greg Stark? He was good for
duplicate. Yeah, duplicate
Of course, we can't forget the infamous hot dogs they sold in the pits over there. And,
one of the best.
We seemed like you lived on those hot dogs, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You
They
know,
were to die for. They really were.
You're lucky they didn't kill us.
They didn't kill us.
This guy down here now, he cost me a lot of money. That guy down Brown
Which one?
costed me a lot of money.
is that right?
Yeah. His idea with the rebuilding the 00 coach, told my kids where it was and everything.
Oh,
8-hour ride up to Maine to pick one up.
yeah, you're hooked.
But it was a nice day.
Yeah.
Nice day.
Nice rain anyway, right?
You're gonna love it, Jeff.
Well, you know what Marty's doing at my house now? They're putting up that big garage because of him. I worked out of a little shack before. Now I gotta get a big garage.
Yeah, but it showed.
Well, now you have to build
It
more
showed
than
you
one
where
car.
it worked out in a little shack. Now you have a real car in
Well-
a real garage.
Speaking of
My
shops,
inspector comes up and inspects it.
yeah. Speaking of shops and garages, we have Reggie Ruggiero with us, who is part owner of Raceworks, which we really got to know a little bit now. And I'll tell you, Reggie, I'm just fascinated of the work you do there. Number one, but I'm so anxious to hear now how you got started at Plainville Stadium.
Back when I was younger, and growing up on Burke Street in New Britain, Connecticut, my uncle Eddie Mack had race cars. He had novice race cars, and the driver was Ronnie Wyckoff, the guy that drove for Dave.
That's right.
And up till 1968, they were racing the novice cars. Well, probably it was like 66. Then he had bought a car from Eddie Flimke, a modified, and Ronnie drove it a little bit. And when I got to be old enough, I wasn't quite old enough, and I built my own coupe, and it started in 1969. And back then you had to be 18 and have a signature. Well, my mother wouldn't sign for me, so my dad signed. And so I started racing, and I drove my own car for like 3 years. And I sold that car to Ronnie Rocco. And then I drove for other people, through the course of the years. In 1975, I moved on to Riverside Park. But I always said, like, anybody that could run Plainville Stadium, because it was a quarter mile, narrow, flat. If you could get around that racetrack, you could drive it
Anywhere. Ed Senior, Flimke, he says that's one of the best New England tracks around.
Yeah.
And it was fast. A lot of guys came there to try to beat us. They couldn't do it. None of them.
Yeah,
Nobody
Fleck,
from Danbury could beat us. They come down all the time. Couldn't even come near us.
Fleck tracks.
Yeah, I know on a lot of the open shows we had
A lot of the
Dale
open
and them,
shows,
and
none of us.
and some of
Neither
them from
Davey,
down
me,
Waterford.
or Reggie.
Yeah.
Won the open shows. None of them guys.
Waterford there, they come
Only
up
one
there.
guy, Charlie Jazambek, was the only one.
Yeah.
So tell me, Reggie, you went on to race at Riverside,
In 1975, I was driving just cars here and there at Plainville, and Mario Fiore came to me, says, I want you to drive my car at Riverside Park. Well, I never had driven anywhere else in my life. So I said, okay. I went up, seen his car, blah, blah, blah. I ran the last 3 races that they had at Riverside Park that season in 1975. It's called the Triple Crown. And I finished second the first night. It was a 100 lap, I think. It was 100, 150, and 200 laps. And won the second night out. And the only reason being is Mario had far superior equipment than a lot of people. And we used to go to Plainville on Sunday afternoons when they had open shows and stuff. And it would show because we'd go real fast. We won a lot of open shows because he had very good equipment. And it only showed that the people that raced at Plainville, they were just beginners and people didn't have a lot of money. When you moved on to Riverside, Thompson, Stafford, that's when the guys with the dollars, that's when they showed. But that's how I started, and then I full-time in 1976 with Mario until I stopped racing 3 years ago. And not because I wanted to, it's because the money situation with everybody. Everybody nowadays wants you to bring a sponsor or dollars or some kind of program to the table so you could race for them. And for 40 years, I drove and made money. Every week I went to the racetrack, I made money. Nowadays, these guys are driving for nothing. And it's a shame because it's not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's really strange. The cars have evolved into something special, very expensive, and the payoffs have gone down.
Just for example, they're having a race in 2 weeks
Ridiculous.
at Loudon, New Hampshire, and the modified tour. They used to pay $20,000 to win, 100-lap race. Then it went down to $14,000, 100-lap race. This year, it's a 90-lap race for $10 grand.
Really?
And it's like, why? Because everything has gone up in price. Nothing has gone down. Admissions, tires, gas, whatever has gone up, and the purses are going down. So I don't even know how the guys can afford to race it.
Yeah, it's so strange.
How do they afford, how much money they gotta put in the car to win that money?
I'll tell you what, a turnkey tour car, top-notch car, it's probably close to $100,000.
Yeah.
Then my kids are right on that staff.
And that's no spare parts, right?
No, that's just a car.
Now at Stafford Springs now, these kids, they don't pay nothing for the SK lights. They pay $200 to win. I can't even buy 2 tires.
Yeah, I don't know how they do
That's
it.
It's a shame. I know. I keep
You know,
telling my kids get out of it.
When you look back at like Plainville Stadium, you went and jumped in the car there with your street clothes on. There was no driver's suit. There was no special
No.
That was
seats.
at the beginning, but that, towards the end we got.
The gas is what, $11 a gallon?
Yeah, I mean,
$12 for 110 octane.
I mean, this
Yeah.
this is escalated so far out of control.
Look at the transporters they use now to get the car to the track.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Like,
Look at the old pictures.
Not only that,
Nobody had any.
they don't bring one car, they bring 2 and 3
The only
cars
reason it's
together.
like that nowadays is because monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody sees one guy come in with a big trailer. Well, I gotta have a big trailer. Well, did you ever get passed on the racetrack by a trailer? No. So you don't need that big equipment to go fast. But everybody thinks they do. Even you go to Stafford and there's street stocks, they have enclosed trailers.
Yeah.
I towed my first race car with a wrecker. Never mind, they had no trailer.
I plateaued. We got to tell about Reggie over here. He's teaching up at Stafford now.
Oh yeah.
You heard about that one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he's teaching up there.
I'll tell you, I think that Reggie's going to do very well teaching people how to drive.
He's
and,
copying after me because I teached
Oh.
up at Shimon, New York for 3 years.
There
Is
you
that
go.
right? Yeah.
He's trying to copy me.
Well, you also got to remember that Reg's got a show there that you put on. You're sponsoring there that shows a complete building of a modified.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
Eddie
we
Schlepke
do.
Jr.
We do.
Put it on. It's really a phenomenal show to watch. I mean, you pick up a lot of pointers on it, and
Yeah, I
they
am.
do excellent work. And to actually to see it done.
Believe me, every week we go there to film, we're just mystified by what goes on, and the work they do there is really something special, I have to tell
You
you.
got to come, and I mean, you know.
You got to
So
come there when we're cutting up a deer.
Of course, they got I got a little punch in that, you know. a little cut.
He's got the barbecue already when they're cutting it up.
Let me tell you, he knows how to cook. That
Oh, yeah,
I'll
he
tell
knows.
you.
We can see that.
We've been, oh
We
yeah,
can see
yeah,
that.
yeah. But getting back to Plainville in those years, I mean, you just, and I think Don hit it right on the head. Every gas station you saw had a car.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you could afford it back then.
you know, they and part-time, you'd work on that car and drag it to Plainville to race and then celebrate and have a few beers after the race. It was just a different time.
Well, most of them guys all did their own work. They built their own cars. They couldn't afford to go to a guy like Reggie and have him build you a top-notch car.
Well,
There's no such thing.
Most of them
compete.
sponsors, they had a Exxon station or Shell or Sunoco.
And they give
So
you
when they did
$10
have
worth
it,
of
they
gas.
had that there, and that was the big name on the side of it. So they represented the garage that car was at.
Yeah.
You know, Waterbury was noted for that.
Yeah, and you know, of course, today you have to compete with these people, and it is just not easy. Recently, we did cover a race event up at Stafford, a modified tour, and I was just shocked at it, even qualifying. They're so close. I mean, tenths of a second separates the field sometimes, you know. And it's just so competitive. I just can't get over it.
My grandson Tommy had the fastest time up there for the Sizzler.
Yeah, I remember
fastest time for
we
the
actually talked to Tommy
Yeah.
during the race day, which will air soon.
His luck has to change. You got to change his luck. It's bad.
Well, you know,
no good luck for him at all.
racing luck is, you just
Yeah.
never know what fate will do for you. And
He's got bad luck. Tony's doing good.
I'll tell you, I was talking
Tony
with Ed Flimke Jr. recently when we were at an event. And, you know, he goes through this ritual when he gets ready to go out on the racetrack. And he told me, he says, you know, I ask myself sometime, is this the last time I'm going to do this? You know what I'm saying? So it's really, it gets to be something that I'm sure gets into your system, and it doesn't leave easy no matter what luck you're having or not.
Well, I tell you, I miss it a lot. Believe me, would you go back? I'd go back any day. If I could lose the weight, I'd go back. Believe me.
And get a new
I
heart.
can't fit through the window now.
Well, the
They can
same,
torch it open.
Reflexes.
I'll tell you,
The
get that
finish.
00 together, you're going to have some fun.
They wouldn't even let that car on the track today.
No?
No.
You have to use Reynolds aluminum foil.
You got Greco's putting one together too. Billy
Back-
Greco.
Back then,
here. Greco
they
got it,
didn't
yeah.
check cars. Half them guys had exhaust pipe for rollover.
No, we wouldn't do that.
But,
You know, that's another scenario too. When you went to Plainville Stadium with a car, I'm sure it didn't have to meet all the stringent specs that you have to put up with today.
the only thing they were worried, I'm sorry, go
There
ahead.
was no rules.
back then.
Nothing.
Whatever you brought to the racetrack.
Oh.
The only thing they checked
What you
was
run,
When?
what
When?
you run.
That's right.
What rule you talking?
Like,
What year? What year?
Like Freddie said, Mo used to seal the motor after he checked it. We used to unseal it, put stuff back in, and then seal it up again.
And
That
what-
was it.
and what
He
did
didn't
they
care
do?
if you had exhaust pipe for roll bars.
And what did they do to me with the 00?
I don't know, what did they
They
do?
brought in scales. They made me weigh the car every year.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, I had to put weight on it because it was too light.
Yeah, but you
1,700
took
pounds.
care of them there, put water in the tires,
It was 1,200 pounds.
then change the rubber.
That's what it was, Ray. 1,200, wasn't it? 1,200 pounds, I think.
It was 1,700.
Yes, I thought it was 17, yeah.
So I can't find the original one, it rusted away.
Somebody said it's in Salisbury,
Yeah, that's what I was told.
but we got to find out who's
Yeah.
telling you though,
Yeah.
because that's the one we want to
It's
get
on an
back.
old farm out in Southbury.
Old farm out in
And I
Salisbury.
know nothing about Southbury, so it doesn't mean any good.
And my
The amount of metal that was on that car is gone by now,
The
take my
what?
word for it.
The what?
The amount of metal that was on that car is gone by now.
It rusted.
That was Swiss
No,
cheese
good
when it was
one.
out there.
Well, my cars were light and they were
A million
safe,
holes in the frame.
and they went fast.
The
No, That was the Gremlin, the
The
Gremlin.
starter was drilled out. I never seen so many holes in stuff that you guys had. So why didn't you drill out
The
the roll
Gremlin, the
cage?
Gremlin was the one who was drilled
Now
out.
all the secrets are
Gremlin.
coming
That's right,
out.
the
Oh,
Gremlin.
yeah, here we go.
Too late.
My first race car,
That's it right there,
right
ain't
there,
it?
they
Yeah,
have
right
it.
there.
No, not there. It's
The old 59,
No,
right?
condo.
Michael
95 over
Ciamella
there.
has it. They had it at the Plainville reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 59.
I look at that
Oh,
car
the
now and I
59,
cringe.
yeah.
It's so unsafe.
Oh, God,
And it's
yeah.
scary.
Yeah,
But
I
I drove it.
remember.
We didn't know any different. And that
No.
was the way it
Yeah,
was back
yeah,
then.
yeah.
It was
My
just-
brother
nowadays
put a
everything
novice,
is.
my brother put a novice together there, that
If-
39 Chevy sedan. It went like heck. I think we won the first week, and the second week we come out and it bounced off the first turn wall. The engine laid out on the track.
Yeah, you're gonna try to
Come
make
to
a
find
football
out,
like you guys
I
had.
was sitting in the seat rocking inside the car with the seat rocking in it.
If these guys only knew what the roll bars were made out of in that double O. You know what thin wall pipe is the electricians use?
Conduit.
Yeah, right, conduit.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Oh my
too.
dear.
Yeah,
Oh,
conduit.
all
I know
the
what it
secrets are coming out now.
Ours were the cow stations.
But
Oh, I got some of them. You want
Yeah, we used to use
some?
them for Nerf bars and
I got a
everything.
bunch of them.
We didn't have access to a welder too much, so we had to use the clamps and everything else to hold it together.
well, I know one thing, and Fred touched on it a little bit, but he didn't explain. Don, you were talking about sealing the motor. Mo Guernsey come to your barn to
Right.
seal the motor,
Yeah.
and he said,
It
I
was
am
legal.
not, I'm not going in the barn because I'm afraid it's gonna fall down.
Yeah,
Pull the car outside. Am I right or wrong?
yeah, he did.
He was afraid to go in the barn because
At first he told Dave, he says, here, you put the seal on. Dave says, no. He says, that's your job. He says, come on in here and
That's
do
why
it.
he
says,
wants so
'cause-
many races. He
says,
put
we-
the seal
We
on
don't
it.
want anybody to say he was running illegal. And Mo says, well, I'm not going in that garage. I mean, the beams were sagging and the hay was coming down. And he says, I'm not going inside there. So finally, he wheeled it out. And Bo put it on there, but he was still shaking.
He was very reluctant.
yeah.
He was
I
shaking
thought
a
he
lot
was-
more when
a lot
I
of
chased him down the track with the car.
This is,
Now, did you keep any animals in the barn too?
Oh, there
or-
was a few roosters upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was plenty of animals.
I think we
Critters all
got
over the
with
place.
the chickens. We had a breakfast in the morning, go right back to work.
Oh my dear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a lot of good drivers that came out of there. Eddie Flemke Sr. Spent a lot of time, and his favorite was driving one-handed when
Oh, that was Eddie Senior.
Eddie
I was
Sr.
right
that
back
night.
from that night.
And you can't forget the guy. I'll tell you, he put a lot in there. He put that Flemke front end together, and that was noted for quite a few years.
I was right back from that night. He was driving with the one hand.
Yeah, and then even his brother George there.
Georgie was good.
He run
had a
the
crippled
midgets
up
and
band
all.
too.
Yep. There was a lot
I'll tell
of
ya.
famous fellas that came out
But
of there.
Eddie Senior, he'd like to tease a lot. He got me bad all the time. He turned around, he put a rubber snake in my car.
Oh,
Man, I hate snakes, you know. Then, I don't know if I can say this, but he used to sneak up underneath the car and goose me.
Oh my God.
Oh, he used to drive me nuts.
I'll tell you, when we were growing up, young kids, to go to Plainville and watch him was like magic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he would weave in and out of people. He looked like he was having a good time out there. And I think he would just play with people.
But they're one good
I think
eye,
he
too.
could lap you. I think he could just lap the field anytime he
Oh,
wanted
God.
to.
Yeah.
Could have.
You know, he was like,
Like
playing-
Reggie said, he was in cars that had money. Made a big difference.
Yeah.
But
He
yeah,
was tied up with
deal,
some
the
real good
He
mechanics.
had Garudi's backing him all the time and everything.
Yeah.
Back then, Bobby Judkins was
Bobby
a
Judkins.
good
Bobby
with a
Judkins,
2X
yeah.
there. He used to come up there with the injectors on. I remember him working down in that box company down in Meriden.
More
Bobby would put together a car and he'd bring it up just to try it out. He wouldn't, he'd pay his membership and all. And quite they go out there with the regular modifieds, it looked like the rest look like novices out there.
Mordino drove his first one that was all primered up and everything.
Yeah, they
Bobby
did.
Judkins. Okay, so he went to the inside, I went to the outside. He shot up in front of me, I shot back down, I hit him and he rolled him over.
Well, that wasn't a good night.
No,
No
The
surprise
wrenches,
here.
the wrenches came out that night. Those were big ones.
Bobby Judkins hated me ever since.
That wasn't your first time either.
No, that wasn't.
that was just the beginning.
Yeah, rest his soul. Tony Mordino, boy, I tell you, he took a few checkers too at Plainville.
I used to run a 52
Quite a
out there
few.
every
Yeah,
week.
yeah, he took him with the 52.
That spit, that
Well, not that many.
Spitfire.
Tony was
Yeah,
good.
he ran
He
good.
drove for my brother for quite a few years. You know, they won races everywhere. My brother was the one that owned the 78 that he drove. And they raced every track around. They won. No matter where they won, they won. They were good. Tony was good. He should have been in Daytona, but he was too hot-headed. Always fighting.
Plus he couldn't see.
Huh?
Plus he couldn't see the glass.
Yeah. He was good.
He had no perception.
Good.
Everybody blamed
Good.
him for
Tony
hitting cars.
was-
Tony didn't realize how close he was.
Yeah. Me and Tony were close. We were close. Good friends.
Yeah, it was, you know,
He was a
it
good
was-
man.
to watch him and Lou Colangelo, I mean, they used to battle. Oh my God, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, the people that raced at Plainville, you know, I just couldn't believe when talking to Don earlier today how many have passed away.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You know, that raced there.
An age.
I got 61 on the board, and I got 2 more to add, and there's more to come that passed away from Plainville, that ran Plainville.
Hope you ain't looking at me.
I told you
No.
today.
You've
You're
been dead for
right.
years.
I
You
didn't
just
do-
don't know well enough to white out.
My last 3 years have been pretty bad, but
Oh,
don't
Alkins' fault. He made me.
Don't
made
put my
me
name
all
on
those
that
pictures
board yet.
together. He told me it'd be a good job for me.
don't put my name up there
What's
yet.
that?
To put all those pictures together for everybody that passed away.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Now-
they had to change the menu a little bit.
I want to ask a quick question to everyone here. If you could have changed the way things went back then, is there anything you would have
No.
liked to change?
No. No.
No.
No.
Fred, Dave,
No.
I wouldn't change anything, no.
Don.
No, I had a
No.
real good time.
We
You know,
had fun.
We scraped the
Roland?
Broadway all the way.
They'd stay the same.
Don,
Yeah, me too. I enjoyed myself. I had a good time.
Ron, would you have changed anything?
Yeah, I wouldn't have allowed to build that shopping mall over there. The track would still be there.
Well, we all
Hey, she still
know.
collects every month for it too.
Yeah.
We all know that we hated to see that go, just like
Oh,
Riverside Park too. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, people just love to go there, and all of a sudden it's gone. What about you, Reggie? Would you like to have changed anything?
No, I would have kept everything the same.
That was
Be
one
honest
of the
with
best
you,
tracks around.
You know, when Mo was there as the, not official, but he ran the place, he did a good job, but he had a lot of favorites. And,
Boy, you ain't kidding. Not me.
He did.
No,
No, we weren't
I
either.
was his
Anyways.
enemy.
we got to be good friends, myself and Mo, and actually Mo Gersey, before he passed away, he worked for me. He used to drive my wrecker in my garage,
No kidding.
and he was a good guy. He really was. He had a couple of health issues, but
Yeah.
he was a really good guy.
Yeah.
And everybody, you know, put him down because he was loud, obnoxious and loud, but he was a really cool guy.
He was a retired race driver. Think about it.
Well,
I'm
when I was,
surprised
you know, when I was a kid, I can remember Mo winning races,
Oh, yeah.
and there'd be money bags painted on the side of it. That's what they used to call them, right?
Yeah,
Money bags. I mean, he was
I
like
call him an Arab.
he was a
Tattersaw had his favorites.
Oh,
though.
Tater
Oh,
sauce.
Yeah, they
He
did.
just had Danny Galulu, Billy Greco.
Eddie
They were
Carroll,
all
same
in
way.
his pocket.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
You
supposed
know,
to
another
have
one we never forgot is Jimmy with Commercial Tire.
Jimmy.
He came
Oh,
out there.
yeah.
I can never
Boy, I
forget,
remember he
I'll
had
never
that-
forget that guy.
He looked like
Never.
Smokey the Bear with that big hat on. But I
Never
remember
forget
times
Jimmy.
over there when I running my own modified, the '89.
Never
over there.
forget Jimmy. He was
I'd
great.
go in there and say, geez,
Great.
I'm a little short on money, you know, can you, rub me until the end of the week or so. I need them tires. And he said, well, yeah,
Jimmy.
well, I had them bad. He'd send
Jimmy
Harry
was
back
great.
there.
Yeah.
Never ever worried about him.
I was supposed to have lunch with Miss Tinty, the daughter. My nephew works for her, you know, and he's going to arrange it so we could have lunch. She's got a lot of memorabilia. She's got a lot of them, she says.
Yeah,
See,
she should.
Beatrice, yeah.
It'd be nice to get her involved. You know.
I tried. She was supposed to come to the reunion twice, but these turns up. She's the lawyer for the state, you know. So I don't know.
Yeah, we certainly want to remind everybody that the Plainville Stadium reunion is the 1 week after the Berlin Fair every year. And I'll tell you, Dave, that event has been getting better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the Nutmeggers there. They put on go-kart shows there. And they also have a lot of the modified drivers that'll want to run a cart, go out there. Reg had one and turning the wheels there, and Jappers had it out there, and we had a lot of the old time. I had myself and Fred. A lot of the fellas have had them. I think you even had it out there. About everybody that.
You mean they had one big enough for you?
They brought a
I had your kid's helmet.
They had a better one.
They had one with the retractable seat in it.
They took the one that you
You
were
know what?
supposed to
There's
drive.
other people in life besides midgets.
I gotta
like
be good.
that.
I gotta be good. I gotta ride home with it.
Oh boy.
You're not walking.
I might walk.
You got a leash, we'll drag you.
My friend Reggie's there. He give me a ride.
Flat toes.
Stations down at the corner.
Well, I'll tell you, it's really been great to have a chance to sit down to talk with everybody. You know, I'd like to do this again sometime. Maybe at the Plainville Stadium reunion, we could do something, or to have a little talk, Dave, about maybe trying something different. You know.
Well, we try to, Don Moon here and John, president of the Nutmeggers, they get involved in that, Dave Tracy and all, trying to get that menu changed all the time, so it should be a lot better. It's the 3rd annual show, and each year they make it better and better.
This
Yeah.
will be the
So we're hoping to look forward to it.
This is gonna be the 4th show.
Oh, 4th show, yeah, okay.
Yeah. The other thing too, I wanted to touch on was the near Hall of Fame. I want to really congratulate you, Reggie, for you're the newest inductee from Plainville. I think there's only 2 of you, right?
Only 2 from
you and
Plainville.
Reggie so
Reggie and I
far.
are the only ones,
Well,
yes.
George Lombardo's there.
But there
Oh,
is,
yeah,
yeah,
George,
there are
yeah.
still Georges in here.
Oh, George.
George is in here.
Okay. And we hope that to see more familiar faces get into that.
More and more will be.
You know, but Reggie, congratulations. That's certainly a feather in your cap, and I'm sure that everybody was happy to see that. Well, I want to thank everybody for sitting down today and having this little get-together, and somehow we're going to have to come up with something in the future maybe to do this again. And we want to really remind everybody to come to this exhibit, as it'll be here all the way into August. And it's really something special when you look at all the memorabilia and pictures. And, you know, I've seen pictures on that wall over there. I worked on some of those cars.
Yeah.
You know,
Rose and Nancy did a phenomenal job of putting that together.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So we want to thank everybody for coming, and hope to see you at the Plainville Stadium reunion this fall.
Of course, we want to remember those who are no longer with us. Don and Joe Tinty, of course, and Mo Gursey, and I see pictures of Skip Ziegler and Tony Mordino, and it just brings back a very special time that we went through when we were growing up. And I hope everybody gets a chance to come out to this Plainville Historic Center to see this exhibit. It's just outstanding. The exhibit will be in place up until August 29th. And I would check with the Historic Committee to get the exact hours. And believe me, you won't be disappointed. We also will be having a follow-on show of some of the race cars that raced at Plainville coming soon. Special thanks to the Race in Action Today crew, Bill Majak, Dwayne Cody, and Lisa Backus. And also we want to have a very special thank you to Nutmeg TV for all their support and all the great things they do.